Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Take
you
two.
guys don't know it, but this is actually the second time we started.
I started without everybody.
She forgot to hit go live and started the timer.
I'm sitting here just chair dancing away, and I looked up and it's like, it's time to go live. So, all right. So we're a little bit late and it's all my fault.
Anyway, hi, everybody. Welcome
everybody.
to Knits and Pieces KnitChat, our Tuesday night knit chat in the KnitChat Cafe. We come here every Tuesday, 7 o'clock to meet with everybody, see what's going on.
Wine is on the menu tonight.
I have too many things around me. I can't have wine yet. I'll have mine after.
Okay.
Anyway, welcome everybody. My name is Noelle, and this is my friend
Kelly.
And we're from Southwestern Ontario, where it is hot. We are what?
We're just trying to talk at the same time. That's all. It is smoking hot. We have hit summer.
But I'm in air conditioning.
Well, I'm in my basement, which is really cool. Mike still thinks it's too soon to turn the air on. I might sleep in the basement tonight, but anyway. So we are a mostly knitting podcast, but we do lots of other things too. Lots of crafty things. And welcome. If it's your first time here, welcome.
Everybody.
And if you've been here before, you know kind of how this goes. It's very
I always hit somebody's name that shows up in the comments.
This is just very, very informal. It is just us hanging out and talking and chatting with all of you and finding out what everybody's up to in the knitty world.
Yeah.
So, Noelle, if you want to start with some hellos,
I will. First of all, Nikki was here 75 minutes early. Yay, Nikki! So she got a whole little conversation going before we even tuned in. So,
wow! Way to tailgate, girl! Way to tailgate.
Yep. And hi to Janet and Irene's here from the 3-Ply podcast. And who else do we have here? We've got. See if I can do this without hitting the screen.
Okay.
I'm trying. Okay, so we've got Cindy. I don't want to miss anybody, but I probably will, so I apologize. We've got Janie, we've got Jelaine, we've got Sheila. Who else do we have here? We've got Paula, Sidra, Beth. We've got Julia, Luana, Elaine, Karen, Sherry, Rachel. Hi, Rachel. And I have to say hi to Molly and Isla because they get to watch for a few minutes before they have to go to bed. Hi, Molly and Isla. So we've got Cornelia. We've got Gwen. We've got May Jo. We've got Bobette. We've got Nicole, Glenda, Barbara, Lee, Teresa, Beth, Becky, Emily, Kristen, Glenda, Sue, Deb, Nara, Mickey, Janet, Carol, Mary Jane, Marianne, Laura, and you guys are having a wonderful conversation in here. We've got Cheryl and Jan and Karen, and we should be in here for the pre conversation. So
I struggled to get here on time for the show, let alone the pre-show, but we should try that one night. Let's start 15 minutes early and see if we can catch you all.
Yep. Sandy, Alexa, Mickey, Wendy, Barbara, Valerie, Sherry, Sarah, Kristen, Margaret, Bonnie. So hi, everybody. I know I probably missed some people. I apologize. There's just, so many people in here. We're so glad that you're all here. We have a lot of things to talk about tonight. So
we do.
It was a busy week.
Why was it busy, Noelle? Share your big news. Tell us why it was busy.
Okay, I have a new granddaughter.
Yay.
She was, Penelope was born on Sunday night, which is my son's birthday, but not my son who's the father, another son.
Her uncle.
She was her uncle, that's right, on her uncle's birthday. And she is just beautiful. And I'll just show you some pictures here. She is just the sweetest little thing. So there she is. Her name's Penelope. She's got dark hair.
Oh, so much hair. So much hair. The
cutest little features. So there's her picture just hours after she was born. And then I got to hold her for a long time today. So she just is just amazing
Adorable.
to hold that little baby and just all those little baby noises and just, anyway. So yeah, so I'm sort of on, I don't even need wine tonight. just already on a high. So yeah, so that was very exciting news. So she was a week early, but she still weighed 8 pounds. So she's good size. And yeah, we are excited to have her and happy to welcome her into our family. And mom and my son and baby are all doing well. So
awesome.
Yeah. So now I got, just think how good she's going to look in like amazing colors with that dark hair.
I know.
Now I don't know whether it will stay or not, but my daughter-in-law does have dark hair, so it might. So, because none of my kids had hair like that when they were born. So
Damon did, our son. Well, actually Kendall had pretty dark hair too when she was born.
So, but yeah.
And
anyway,
then her hair went
everybody.
blonde. Now it's dark again.
Well, yeah, my kids were all kind of blonde, and then now they've all kind of gone darker. But in the summertime, they like, especially my one son, his hair still goes quite light in the summertime. Yeah. So before we go on, I'll show you. Last week I was making the little romper for her. So it is all finished. So I just have to show you.
Oh my gosh, I didn't see it with the shirt. That's adorable.
So I got this little shirt with a collar on it to go underneath
I love it. I love it.
And just so this romper is the Spring into Summer romper by OGE Knitwear. So it's all garter stitch. I did it in Lion Brand Kobo, which is a cotton bamboo blend, and it's all garter stitch. So I had to actually seam the sides because it's not knit in the round. So, and with garter stitch, it's probably easier just to knit it in pieces anyway, because if the garter stitch, if you do it in the round, you've got to knit a row, purl a row, right?
That's right.
But the garter stitch is just straight back and forth.
Oh my goodness, that's so cute.
It's a little big, but before long, she'll be fitting into that. So
absolutely.
And it was fun to make. Yeah. And we showed it to Zoe. Zoe wants one. I'm like, Zoe, you're a little big for rompers. I think she just wanted the buttons.
We could make them sweaters to go with and use the
I think she just wants the buttons, so I could just make her a little white cardigan for the summer and put those buttons on it. Yeah, so that was exciting news. But that wasn't the only. We had other exciting news too. We went to the trunk show for Full Moon Fibers at Little Red Mitten.
We did,
and that was fun.
We did. So we bought a few things too.
Yeah, we did a few. We'll show you in the next podcast. We don't have time tonight to show you everything that we bought, but it was fun. And we met Jessica and Allison, who are the dyers behind Full Moon Fibers, and they're so nice. They're just as sweet as they are on their podcast. Like, just
they are, adorable,
really nice girls.
Adorable. Yeah. And I cashed out. I made it out onto the porch. There was a group of people out there knitting and hanging out, and I made it all the way out. I think I even got knitting out of the bag. I might have even started knitting, and then I went back in and shopped some more. I don't know. That would be dangerous for me to live in St. Thomas. Let me just say that'd be danger. But anyway, it was, we had a great night. The weather was really nice. Went through, I think, 3 seasons on the drive there.
To get there, yeah. Well, I had come down early.
Then bright sun, and then I went through torrential rain to get there. Yeah. But we had a really good time catching up with everybody.
Yep, we were, a group of us kind of were all together. Like, I went down earlier because I was going to stay at Jacqueline's so that I could see Zoe. And so we kind of met and had a little bit of a bite to eat, and then met at Little Red Mitten. And it was actually a gorgeous night because it was nice enough to sit out on their deck to knit, which was really nice.
Yep.
And I did the same thing as you did. I was sitting actually knitting, and I went back in. But we're not the only ones that did that.
No, we're not. No, we're not.
we're gonna like rat someone out.
Yeah, we're not going down alone.
Anyways,
we took names, and you know who you are.
So our friend Julia, who is in here fairly often, she was with us, and she had already done her shopping, and she had come out, and she was sitting, and I was sitting knitting beside her. And then I pulled out what I was working on, and Julia had to go right back in the store and buy some more yarn. But I'm going to show you what I was working on and why she really didn't have a choice. I mean, when you see this picture, you'll know she had to do it.
Yes, absolutely.
So let's just see here. I'm going to pull up this pic. So here's the pic. So this is Julia. And I was knitting on this sweater, which I've got a little more done on it. I'll show you in a little bit. But this is the Metamorphic by Andrea Mowry. And the colors just match Julia's hair perfectly. So, I mean, seriously, how could she not go back in and get that yarn? So, anyway, so Julia got the yarn that's going to match her. It's going to match her hair, and it's going to look amazing on her when it's done. So,
yeah, we can't wait.
And I mean, honestly, Kelly and I should not talk. We did our fair amount of shopping.
We made a bit of a dent. Yes, we did. Yeah, we did. And we saw Sarah there too. So yes. since the bus is rolling, let's just keep throwing people under it. We saw Sarah there. Sarah bought a sweater's quantity, and I think Sarah actually cast the sweater on that night. And Natalie was there with us too. Natalie made it into the store twice, and Natalie is somebody that I admire for having probably the greatest self-control in a yarn store of any person I have ever met. And she went in 2 times. So there you go. Whew, everybody feel better. That was a big bus, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. But that's okay, because it was, and it was funny because one of the ladies that was sitting outside, Sandy, so she had her stuff. She told me she had her stuff kind of all up at the counter. Yes. And then she had to go in to get it. But then she was sitting way at the end of everybody. She goes, now I have to do the walk of shame.
So we were calling it as everybody came back out. Yep. There's the yarn walk of shame. But there was no shame there that night. It was a lot of fun. It just, doesn't it feel good to be together with people again? Doesn't it feel just so good to be with friends and just to admire what everybody's working on? And
it's the inspiration that you get from just being around other knitters, and it's contagious.
It's the kind of bug you don't mind catching.
It's just
to say that.
And it's just like, honestly, like everybody that was sitting around there, like everybody was just in such a great mood and so happy and just having a great time. It was wonderful.
Yeah, it's just sitting around enabling everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun. Yeah. So one of the things that I'm working on, I didn't get it there that night. I got it the week before, and did I show it last week? I can't even remember. I know we talked about the yarns, but I think I actually
you didn't cast it on after. You cast it on because you texted me and you had casted it on after.
That's right. So we talked about, and I don't have the purple anymore, but whether I was going to pair this, I had a lavender mohair, or whether I was going to pair it with the gray. And I think everybody suggested the gray. So newsflash, I took the lavender with me on Friday, and I bought another yarn to cast on with the lavender. So there's going to be 2. But anyway, this is the first one. So I cast this on last Tuesday night after KnitChat. And this is a perfect knit wherever you want to knit, because it's super simple. And I totally copied Noelle because she made one, and it's the Tassels in the Sky by Vincent Villapando. I don't know. Sorry, Villapando. Anyway, you'll see it when we talk about the podcast. We'll put labels in then. But look at this, how pretty this is turning out. So this is the Slub yarn by Full Moon Fibers. That was this one here. And that was the Kale
me about it.
Kale me about it. Kale me about it. And then this is some gray mohair that I had bought from Knit Picks. I think it's called Aloft. I have no ball bands with me. Sorry, people. But this slub yarn. So I've always been a fan of slub yarn, but I never knew what to do with it. Like, I'm always intrigued by it, but I just couldn't visualize something. So Noelle made the shawl, the Tassels in the Sky, and it's got 3 glorious tassels hanging off of it. Those might be some of the highlights for the shawl. And she almost didn't get to leave my house with it when we podcast last time. So I was trying to figure out a way to steal it that she wouldn't notice. But it's just like, get a close up. Look at the little slubbies in there. Isn't that amazing? They are so pretty. I love them. Love them.
And so, it's not hard to work with at all.
No.
Like, it's not like, because someone had asked me, well, do they get caught when you're doing it, or do they?
They do not.
It's not. No, they don't.
And I don't even feel that need to pick them off the way I do sometimes with tweed yarn. I'm just excited about them. Now, there are some on the back too. And sometimes when I'm knitting, I get thinking, oh, should I try to push it through? Don't do that. Just leave it. Just let it organically happen. And I love it.
And the thing is, when you wear a shawl, you do sometimes see bits of the underside of it too. So
thank you, Julia. There we go. Tassels in the Sky by Vincent Villapando. And it's a free pattern on Ravelry too.
Yep.
But
super simple.
Super simple.
What we suggest that you do is make your tassels first. And there's actually instructions in the pattern on how to make the tassels. I actually made mine by winding them around my needle gauge, winding the yarn around my needle gauge.
I had a sewing ruler that was the right dimension.
It's like my needle gauge is about that size, right? Yep. And it's metal. So it was a good hard surface to do it. So make your tassels, and the tassels are both yarns. So both your mohair and your slub. So make your tassels, and then all you have to do is knit till you run out of yarn. So, and that way you don't have yarn left. And one other thing though, that did you do it on a bigger needle?
Yes,
I think the pattern
both
calls
went
for
up to
a 5,
which is a US 8.
Yeah,
and it's perfect knitting where you don't even have to look at it or think about it. You just knit away. So I took that with me and I worked on it a bit Friday night, and then I worked on it Saturday morning when we went to the coffee shop for another hour or so. So it got a bit of knit time this week, and I could not be happier. Yep. Natalie is saying that she's pretty sure we all bought slub that night. And I think we did. I know Dawn came home with slub.
I did.
Maybe Heather didn't. Heather might have been the only person who didn't get slub, but
well, I didn't, but I still had some sweater quantities.
We were slub happy.
And I'd already made mine and made the one for Little Red Mitten. Yes. And the Moon Rock slub, it comes in absolutely gorgeous colors. So it's the slub is full moon fibers, and it's called Moon Rock slub. And the colors are amazing. Like there were several colors that you could have picked to go with the yarn that you brought in. Like it wasn't just, I just have a choice of this one. It's like, it would look good with this, or it would look good with this. And like so many combinations that you could put together. So
you could, like, depending on how you wanted to pair your mohair, you can either I mean, like, imagine if I put this with a purple mohair, like you could zazz it up, or you could tone it down. And the other two colors that I picked are a little brighter. So do you have yours Julia. Anywhere near you? Or is it far away?
I can go get it. I'll go get it. But there we go. We need to have a slub club.
A slub club.
I'll be right back.
And I always said I didn't like the word slub. Lauren was asking to see the tassels, and I don't have them down here. They're elsewhere in the house, but I just don't like the word slub because it reminds me of slug, which are those nasty little things that I find out in my garden. So it just doesn't sound appealing, but it knits appealing. It's glorious. It's just beautiful. So I'm going to knit 2, and I'm going to give one away, but I'm going to wait until I finish knitting both of them to decide. So Lauren wants to see the tassels.
There.
Look at those tassels.
All 3 of them.
Yeah. They're just amazing. It's beautiful. Beautiful.
And the fabric is like, I for sure, I'm going to do a sweater with this fabric. Like I think that you can just do a plain sweater, and you're going to get all the look from the yarn is going to do all the work, and you're going to have a gorgeous sweater.
I want to do like just a plain raglan sweater, I think.
Well, I was thinking of the Cozy Classic Raglan by Jessie May, because it's just a plain raglan, and I think that gauge would work well with it.
So Rosie is asking how it differs from boucle. To my best explanation, here's what I have to say. So the yarn is kind of, can you see that it's kinky, like the string? But then the slubs are these little buds or baubles, I guess, whatever you want to call them, that you get. So that's what the slub is. These little, they look almost like knots on it. So I guess boucle would be kind of like this, but a little fatter.
I think actually is the way the thing goes. It's a little more even.
It's a little more even. It doesn't have the like these nubby things in it, but it has the kink, and it's generally a little thicker yarn. And if you're interested in boucle, Full Moon Fibers is now dyeing it. And I haven't figured out quite what to do with it yet. I remember from years ago.
I figured it out after I got home.
What did you figure out? Okay.
Well, I think like they had some really soft pale pink colors. The DK would make an awesome baby sweater.
Oh, it would. It's
just that
so,
nice
so
soft. And
soft.
if I had have thought of that while I was there, I would have picked up some for because I think it would make a perfect baby sweater.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
So I'm gonna have to go on and see what they've got and see maybe I might need to get some more.
Margaret is saying that she saw a ranunculus in Slub.
Ooh, that would be nice.
That would be interesting.
I think I saw a love note in it too.
Okay, and speaking of love notes, do you want to talk about yours that you're wearing?
Okay. So tonight I'm wearing, this is my summer love note, and it's done in Barocco summer silk. So it's just like 3/4 sleeves. I forget what the color is, something pink. Anyway, and yeah, I love it. Like, it's so light. I think it weighs less than 150 grams, and it's just perfect to throw on over like a sundress in the evening or so. I love this pattern. I know we've had a discussion before about whether you like ranunculus or love note better. I definitely like them both, but I would say I favorite love note.
Yeah. So. I like them both. And well, now that I have knit the ranunculus, I'm not, I don't know. Am I equally happy with them? Pretty darn close. Darn close. Yeah. I really like it.
For me, I have to adjust ranunculus more. Now, mind you, I haven't done a ranunculus since she redid the pattern, because for me before the width of the ranunculus was just way too wide. Like I had to alter it, and I didn't have to do anything. I could just pick a size in the love note. So, but I need to go back and look, because she has done it so that there are actually smaller sizes than what and that might make a difference too. So,
okay. Just reading.
Babette says she's drinking wine so she can forget that she's got COVID. Oh, that's too bad.
Well, hopefully it's not.
Hopefully it's not too bad. Yeah.
Yeah, and that you get over it soon.
Yeah.
It hangs on for a long time. I think I had the long COVID, just as far as the fatigue. I would still feel just like waves of fatigue that would hit me. And I had it like the first week of April. So, I mean, I'm now 8 weeks past it. And
yep.
Now I'm remembering why I don't drink wine on camera. Get a hot flash. But okay, moving on. We had some questions this week. Oh, just 1 second. Stacy can only stay a minute. She wants to know how the pie was. That pie was so good. So Natalie on Saturday brought me some rhubarb, and I was able to make 2 pies. So I took one to my dad and we kept one here. So half of ours is in the freezer. That's a lot of pie. It was delicious. I haven't made a rhubarb custard pie in quite a while, but gosh darn, it was so good. So thank you, Natalie, again for the rhubarb. And thanks for asking, Stacy. It was delicious. Okay. So we had some questions. So we had 3 questions that we're going to answer tonight. I've got 1, you've got 2. So how about you start?
Okay. So it was May Jo actually was asking about a Marie Wallin sweater. So I'll just pull it up here. So this is the Amaryllis by Marie Wallin. And she wanted to know if you could do it as a sweater. And you can. The thing is, like, if you look at this sweater, if you look at the patterns down the front, basically those patterns are most likely done in intarsia. And a lot of Marie Wallin's patterns, she does in pieces, and they have to be seamed. So you could do this as a pullover. You would just leave out the button band and the buttonhole band at the front, and then you would cast on 1 full piece, but you would still be working intarsia back and forth. I think this would be a difficult sweater to kind of turn around and do it as on a circular needle, like all in one, because if you would not want to, like, across that front part there, even if you put in the stitches that you can put in for the jacquard ladder back technique, that's still an awful lot of fabric to carry across where there's no stitches for a long time. So I think to do it, you would have to still do like a front piece and a back piece. Now this one on the pattern on Ravelry, I could only see the front of the sweater. So I'm not sure if the design is around the back or not, but you could definitely knit like a front piece and a back piece and then seam them without having to make it a cardigan. So I just think that it would be a difficult sweater to convert to an in the round, just because it's not Fair Isle knitting, it's intarsia knitting. The bottom looks like it could be done as Fair Isle, but once you get above kind of where that band is at about the waist, the knitting above that is intarsia knitting. So, but it's a nice sweater, and
beautiful
you could
sweater.
do it Yeah. But I do think you'd still have to do it like in a front piece, a back piece, and then seam it together.
Yeah.
So
good answer, Noelle. Okay. The question I had to answer was about German short rows, adding them to a pattern that doesn't already have them, and how to go about that and what type of results you're trying to achieve. So the way I handle that, and I can say that I added them, for instance, the sweater that I added them to, oh, it's still here. Look at that. This is what happens when you don't put away your summer knit parade. So I added them to my Deshane sweater. Okay. Because the Deshane is actually 2 equal rectangles, front and back, although one has the lace stitch and then one is just the plain stockinette stitch. So I did some reading on the forums, and what some people were finding was that if you made 2 rectangles the same, it was starting to get just a little snug up at the neck when you joined it across the top, or that you weren't getting enough length at the back of your sweater. It was riding up a little too high. It's odd for me because I always have to think of this a little bit backwards, because I think, if I look at myself in profile, I like to think I have a bit of a chest, and you would think that you would need more in the front, that it would be longer than your back. But what you're not recognizing is that this part of your neck here really draws the pattern up and to go up across the shoulders. So by adding short rows into it, I was able to get a little bit of a lift on this back piece here to make this ride a little higher than the front. And the way I typically do it, and I'll just show you quickly here, but then I had a little diagram too. So on my knitting, I would typically, I couldn't go back and find them very easily, but I normally do 4 sets of short rows, or sometimes even 5 sets, depending on what weight of yarn that I'm using to give that amount of lift. And so you would start by knitting over to where you want to do your short row, and then that's where I turn my work, bring the yarn forward, slip the stitch, and then you go back and forth. And then I would go all the way to the same number of stitches from the edge on the other side, and then you turn and come back. And so then when I'm on my way back, I stop about 5 to 10 stitches short of where I did the first one, and I just go back and forth. So I drew this little diagram. Hopefully this explains it a bit. So this top shaded area, oh, there we go, is the first one. And then you can see the first shaded bump here is where I would do my first short row. And then I would purl all the way back to here. And that's where I did the second bump. And then I'd be knitting across here. This is where I do my next short row. And I do that on this diagram. I'm just doing them in increments of 5 stitches forward. So you just go back and forth. So what in essence you've done is that all of this from here down to this point is additional stitches that never existed in the pattern. That's extra height that I have to rest at the back of my neck. And then when you're done making your short rows, then you will just knit it as if, so you'd be picking up your short rows as you knit across this way. And then when you knit back, you're picking them up this way. So that achieves for me what I need to do. A lot of patterns have the short rows written in them. So what you could do is, if you've done a pattern that had short rows in it that you remembered, you could always go back and have a look at that pattern again and see if it was similar stitches and spacing. But like, you really don't need that many, but you can see the difference here from the front of the sweater to the back, how it did create some length to the back of that sweater. So that's a very quick explanation. Hopefully that was helpful. Now there's a couple of questions about that.
Yeah, Darcy says, if you do short rows in the front, pull that up there, as well as in the back, does it pull up too high on your front neck? I feel that the ranunculus is a little high in the front with the short rows. I know that I did the short rows in mine and it was fine. So again, it might depend on the yarn that you're working with. Might depend on how tight your neckband is. Mm-hmm. I normally, you'll only see a pattern kind of go. And I wonder if that was done so your shoulders would fall down a little bit. I don't know. I don't know what the purpose really of putting them in the front as well as the back. But I know some of them, your short rows will kind of come around to here and just kind of leave this part
Well, it
open?
might have been actually to drop the pattern a little bit in the front, but to get your pattern to stay up tighter on the shoulders. Because remember, in the ranunculus, there's also two neck styles. There's the smaller neck, which is what I did, and then there is a larger neck. So maybe if you did the larger neck, then it would drop the pattern down too far onto the shoulders. I'm not sure. So, and then the anchor sweater, Lauren is saying, puts the short rows below the ribbed yoke. Does that still raise the neck? Yes, it will still give you additional length on the back of the sweater. So a lot of knit, I mean, there's different ways to achieve the same results. There's more than one way to get that. So not everybody does them at the neck edge. But for me on a sweater, like for instance, on the one I showed you, the Deshane, where it was just plain knitting at the top, that was for me the easiest part to add those short rows. But there are quite a few patterns where the short rows go below the yoke or a yoke design.
Well, and in some of Jennifer Steingast, she actually has some short rows before the if she's doing a pattern yoke, she has some before and she has some after. Mm-hmm. Now, for me, and I don't know whether it's just my size, if I do the short rows after and I've done them at the neck, it's too much fabric. And again, that could just be because I don't have a lot of room from my shoulder to my waist. But I find that if there's short rows now under, and I've already done short rows at the neck, I try it on, and if it looks okay, I don't do the short rows under the yoke part. And we've had a couple of people say on here that they just left out the short rows on the front of the ranunculus.
Mm-hmm. So, and I put them in both times, and the sweater was a good fit for me.
Yeah, and I put them in mine, and it was fine. But like everybody's body's different too. So, you know, what works well on mine may not work on somebody else's. So, and I do know that I have tried the ones that are underneath a yoke. And if there's already stitches at the top, it creates extra fabric there that doesn't sit right for me.
And now Linda's just asked one more question, and that's another point that I didn't think about. She's talking about the different placements on the back, but there's one more place on the back that we didn't talk about, and that's where you see a pattern knit up to be sort of like a high-low hem, where it's a little bit shorter at the front and longer at the back. And that's where the short rows actually go to the bottom of the sweater. And that gives you that little bit of an extra curve that you want.
I have that in this.
In the love note. That's right.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Again, I have to kneel up on my stool here. Okay. So I turn around and don't fall off. So you can see that the back just comes down. So there are short rows done in here. And I don't think actually on this one, I don't think I have any short rows up at the top. I only have them down here. So.
Yeah, I was trying to think. I don't remember any short rows actually in the love note. I think they were just at the back, and that's to give you that high-low hem.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the last one that I had, the question was about, how do you know if you're knitting a top-down sock and you're using self-striping sock yarn, where to put your heel, like your short row heel? Mm-hmm. It's basically up to you. There's no set place that says you have to do it at a certain place, especially if you're doing top-down. You're a little bit more constrained if you're doing it toe up because the foot has to fit, right? So you've got to be a little bit more careful in where you're putting it in that way. But I've got some examples here of some self-striping socks that I've got. So this is a timber yarn one, and this heel is the exact color of the stripe. So what I did in this one is I kind of put it right in the middle of a black stripe. So, I mean, I could have done it after, but if I put it right in the middle, it just kind of looks like it breaks up that stripe. But,
so you
don't see any. Yeah. That's right. It doesn't break up any of the patterning that goes through, right? Because I've got a full blue stripe here, and then after the heel I've got the full orange stripe. So I would have just knit in the pattern until where I got to a point where if I had have kept knitting with the striped yarn, I would have been at the black licorice color. So all I did was put in my lifeline there for where I was going to put the heel. So that was in that one. And then if you're working with like something like in a self-patterning yarn, you can just kind of break it up where you think it's going to look good. So in this particular one, by the time I got down to the heel, I kind of knew what the pattern was. So I kind of knew that this design up here that's got the cream colored rows, and in the middle it's got the little bit of a Fair Isle design. I knew that I could kind of break it up in the middle with that white, and it would give me a nice effect the way it kind of broke that up. So it's not, and all I do is like, I'll look that. And then obviously if that was going to take me like, 12 inches long of a leg, I wasn't going to do it. Right. I mean, you've also still got to look at, well, how long do I want my leg? Is it a whole lot longer than I would normally do it? Or is it, if it's a half an inch one way or another, or an inch, and you've got enough yarn, then you can be more picky about where you want to put it. Yeah. Right. So that was in that one. And then this is another one. Okay. So this is one of Ross's socks. Again, this is another Timber Yarns colorway. But if you're doing it, like, let's say you're doing it in a color that's not an absolute perfect match of one of the stripes, it's better not to put it beside that, right? You're better to put it in between other colors, because then you won't see it as much. So in this one, I've just gone down, I've done my full blue stripe. And then again, on the other side, I've got my full gray stripe. But I've just put that color, this, I can't remember what the color name is, but this kind of purpley color that is in the sock, I put it in the middle of those two colors, as opposed to putting it right beside, because when I look at the purple up here, it looks like it might be a little bit lighter. So then you would see that more if I put that in right beside it. So, and then, yeah, so it's.
Did you have one more, or were you at the end there?
Nope, that's my socks.
Okay. I was just going to say, so remember too, like if you're cutting in for an afterthought heel, because I think she wanted to know how to actually do that.
Oh, okay. I thought she meant to know where.
Okay, or where to place it. But if you want it to go and you wanted your heel like smack dab at a line, just remember that you're going to be picking up a row. There's that row that you're going to cut into. So make sure if you want a clean break between that, you pick up the row above the break and then the row below the break, and then you're going to actually cut that one row. And that's how you're going to get that clean color break where you have a heel that's completely different. This is not that case. So I don't even have one down here that I can show you.
So yeah, so you're only cutting out one row.
One row. Only one row. Yeah.
So
yeah. We've got a couple of new people that just popped in. Joan just popped in, and Zia Pin Stitches joining for the first time from Lugia, Calgary. Hello, welcome. Welcome, welcome.
There was a comment from Tracy here that said she's heard of some patterns putting short rows in the collar ribbing. It's funny that you should say that, because I'll show you the sweater I'm working on right at the moment. So I'm doing a sample for Little Red Mitten, and we showed it. It's the one that Julia got the yarn for. But this is the Metamorphic. So this is a sweater pattern by Andrea Mowry. So it's really cool. Like, it looks like stripes, but this is like reverse stocking stitch, but you're actually knitting it so that you've actually turned it. So you're actually knitting it. So you're all doing knit stitches. You're not doing purl stitches. And then it's kind of a little bit like her Weekender, where you've got the slip stitch going down. Right. In this case, it goes down the middle of the front. It's going to go down the shoulders, down the sleeve, and then down the back. But the short rows in this one, so that you don't break up all of your striping pattern, are actually done in the back neck rib. So your short rows are done. Yeah, that is clever. Your short rows are done in rib before you get in to do your striping. So then they're all the gray color, and you're not breaking anything up.
Is that neck going to be folded over or worn like that?
No, because that's okay. So that's the back, and then the front is.
Okay. Yeah. So you can see the lift at the back. Yeah, very nice. Shorter.
Yeah.
Very nice.
This is so much fun to knit. It really is. Like I'm gonna, don't worry, Julia, I'll be back to get yarn to do one for me too. So this is the yarn that it's done in. So this is Noro. So this main color here is the Silk Garden Solo. So Silk Garden Sock Solo. So even though it's sock, it's really like a sport weight yarn.
It is. So, it's a denser yarn for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is their Solo line, is basically, it's more one color, but if you can see, there's little pops of other colors in it. And that's what their Solo is. Whereas when you go to the regular, it's like a striping. So you're getting all the colors in this one. And it's got like, it's, I think for this sweater that I'm doing, which I think I'm doing size 6, I think it's only going to take like 3 of the main and 2 of this, because her original pattern calls for spin cycle. And in spin cycle, this would be an extremely an extremely expensive sweater, but it's going to be really nice in this and a lot more cost effective than doing it in the spin cycle. And I mean, the spin cycle is gorgeous, but everybody doesn't necessarily have access to spin cycle.
No, and that's beautiful. That a new yarn? Was that a new yarn for Leo and Roxy, or sorry, for Little Red Mitten? Because
no, I don't think so.
There was like a mad rush on that yarn Friday night, but they all cast on that. Is it the Suncatcher sweater?
Stargazer?
Stargazer.
Is it Stargazer? Some people in here are doing it. What's the sweater called? Sarah started it. Sarah, what's the sweater called?
I think I don't know if it was Suncatcher or Stargazer, but okay, she'll let us know in a second.
Anyways, definitely I would recommend this sweater. It's so much fun. And it's just one row of each color, right? So it's like the two, you know how when you do reverse stocking stitch, or you're doing it like your rib and you see the way those purl bumps catch. And I don't necessarily like that, but the way it works up in this, it's like the two rows where the purl bumps meet create a stripe.
You know,
that's one so totally cool.
That one it's never so cool. Even hit my radar, that sweater. Now that I see it knit there, now of course, now it's on the radar. But okay, Sarah says, it was neither. We were both wrong.
Oh, we're both wrong.
It's the Sun Gazer.
Oh, well, we had parts of it.
We had parts of it. If it ever needs a rename, just ask us. We've got a couple of spare names for it. So they've cast that sweater on, and I wanted to just go back here for a second.
Because I think they're all doing it in a color of the Noro Silk Garden.
They're trying different colors.
Yeah.
It's a very unique looking pattern.
Yep.
Car 5011, and I'm sorry, I don't know your first name, or I don't remember it, is working on her first sweater. She is on the first sleeve. So I just want to give a congratulations to that. She said that she has been knitting for 20 years and it has taken her this long to make a sweater. In her defense, she lives in Arizona. So there's honestly not a lot of sweater knitting going on in Arizona. So you are definitely given a pass on that, but congratulations for knitting your first sweater. That's a big deal. First sweater is a big deal. It's a really big deal. And then I wanted to go back down to Cricket, who's throwing Noelle under the bus because she bought 16 cones of Holst, and it's all your fault.
How was it all my fault?
She didn't name me. She just named you.
Anyway.
Well, congratulations on that too.
Well, speaking of Holst. I am farther along on this sweater.
I think Customs is hanging on to some of mine. It should have been here by now, and it's delayed.
I'm pulling from my cone. Just a minute here. I'm fishing my yarn. So body's all cast off.
Wow, very nice.
Came onto the sleeve. So this is
is that a full ribbed sleeve? It is,
yes.
Isn't it? Oh, I wouldn't like doing it, but I like it.
I really like it. And it's like your socks when you were doing your, it's not that I don't like doing it, but it's like they look so funny until you put them on. But the sweater, I was going to get a picture, but Ross wasn't home to take a picture. I was going to get a picture on. I love the way it looks on.
It looks amazing.
So the body, it's got quite a long rib at the body, and it's going to, once I block it out, like the body's kind of boxy, but then the sleeves are fitted.
I like it. I like it a lot.
I really like it.
That's a Beth McDonald Stone pattern, isn't it?
Yes, it's Beth McDonald Stone. It's called Claybrig, CLEBRIG. It's not going to be out. When did she say? Till middle of July, maybe?
I thought she said June, but you're probably right. I'm wrong.
Or June, maybe.
I couldn't get the name of the other sweater right. So
I'm supposed to have it done tonight. That's not going to happen, but I will have it done before next week. I can't wait to block it and see what it looks like. And these are all Holst Garn colors. So this is the Holst Garn Super Soft, and these colors are Pussy Willow is the main color. Very nice. The colors that I've got in the yoke are Sugar Snap, Pineapple, Pebble, and Willow. And I really like it. I absolutely love it. And this is holding it double. I'm really can't wait to the blocking part to see how the double yarn all fluffs up. But yeah, and
Go ahead.
Really like knitting with the Holst. So what are you looking up?
I want to look up something that came across my radar.
Okay. Well,
last weekend. You keep talking.
Okay. Okay, I'll show you what else I'm knitting. I got one of my Get Shorty socks is completely done. And look, I got a shorty sock blocker.
Oh, you did too.
I had them. I forgot that I had them. Ross made these ones a long time ago. So this is the Get Shorty Ribbed by Irene Knits from the 3-Ply podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Really fun to knit. Kelly's done. Have you finished yours yet?
I'm so close to finishing. I've got one done, and then the other one I'm just a little bit shy of the toe.
Okay, the second one. I passed the heel, so I'm into the rib part of it. So this one is done in Universal Yarns Bamboo Pop. I don't know if it's Bamboo Pop Sock or Bamboo Sock Pop. I think it's Bamboo Pop Sock. So, and I really like how the yarn feels on. I'm just worried that like the rib, there's not as much spring back as there is in a wool yarn.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So the only thing that I'm a little worried about is whether this is going to be a little loose on my foot. Like it feels okay when I put it on, and I'll let you know once I wear them how it is. If I was doing it again with this yarn, I would probably, for my rib at the beginning of the foot, I'd probably go down needle size to get a tighter rib. But that's nothing to do with the pattern. That's got to do with this particular
yarn. That's a different type of yarn.
Yeah.
Because
so there's not as much stretch in it or spring back as there is in a wool yarn.
Okay.
Yeah, because yours does.
Yeah, they're perfect. Irene, I love this pattern. I truly love this pattern.
And the toe's really neat. Can you see that?
Okay, I didn't do that toe. I did I did my normal rounded toe. But that's nice too. I like that.
Yeah, I really like it. So
okay.
I do love the colors in this yarn. And I think they'll be a nice sock for like cooler evenings in the summer.
Mm-hmm,
I'm just again, it just feels different when you're knitting with more of a cotton or bamboo base for a sock than when you're knitting with something that's like 100% wool or wool and nylon.
Yes.
So
yeah.
But yeah, so hopefully those will get done soon.
Okay, this one came across my radar last week, and it just made me think of the sweater, the sleeves that you were working on. This is a pattern. It's a Purl Soho pattern, and they recommend making it in their linen quill worsted weight. Look at this. Would this not be like the most fun sweater ever? Look at that.
It looks like Little Red Riding Hood.
I know, but I just love the way. I think it looks so absolutely cozy. I could just totally see throwing this on over top of like a longer t-shirt or even with leggings or a dress. But look at those sleeves. It's got the same style of sleeves as the ones you've just knit up, that long rib. I just think it looks super, super cozy. I would sit out around my fire at night with that on, I think. Well, maybe I wouldn't because I'd be afraid that a spark would fly and ruin all my knitting. But I just really like that pattern.
Yeah,
I think it's a fun pattern.
I just usually don't ever wear hoods.
I normally don't, but you know what? We went out to a friend's house last weekend, and it was our first fire of the season, and there was a chill in the air and there was a breeze, and it just kind of kept coming across the back of my neck. And I had a hooded sweatshirt on. Hardly ever wear it. I pulled it up, and you know what? There's something to be said.
Yeah, but I just have my night shift shawl with me, and I'd throw that around my neck.
Yes. No, I did not say what it was called. I'm sorry. Hang on one second. Let me.
And while you're doing that, I've had a few comments from people that have said that they've used the bamboo sock and that the sock actually stays on nice and fits nice. So that's good. I'm glad to hear that. Because like I've had the sock on. I just haven't had it on like to wear it because I've only got one of them so far. It feels really good on. I was just, because it feels different than having that rib from a wool sock. I just wondered if it would stretch out as I wore it. So
I actually might have steered you wrong too. I don't think it's an actual Purl Soho pattern. Well, maybe it is. Maybe it is. Maybe.
Bye, Stella.
She knit. It is. Okay. Sorry. It's called the Center Point Popover. I'll type it.
Okay.
Yes, it is. At first I thought it wasn't because they named somebody else in the pattern, but I think they were naming her because she knit it. And it was
there. Elena says that hoods are bug deflectors.
there you go.
That's good thinking.
Oh, there you go. It's a center point popover, and I'm pretty sure it is Pearl Soho pattern. I don't know if that's a free one. Most of their patterns are free. Are they not? Like usually they are.
Some are. They're not. Not all. But I mean, it is nice because like you are sitting out like by a fire, and a lot of times you're warm at the front because you're right the fire, but you can be.
You just want something
really
around.
Cool from behind. Yeah.
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 And I even think that would be a cute sweater for like a teenage girl too, which I am far, far, far away from. But I think it would be a cute pattern for that. So I could see it being a lot of uses. I think it's also one of those sweaters that you might look at. I don't know why it just intrigues me. And then after I knit it, it's probably, it would be something of like, oh, I could find a lot more uses for this.
I just know that I've knit a couple of sweaters with hoods and I just don't like knitting hoods.
So. Yeah, I probably wouldn't like knitting it. I would complain about it probably, but I love it. I love it.
So
Cindy's knitting a ranunculus in the Barocco remix in the color rose. In the remix or the remix light?
The remix again when I was at Little Red Mitten, and the colors are really nice. And yeah, but I didn't buy any.
Oh, Susan says it's not free, but she did find it on Ravelry. Okay.
Okay.
And she thought the same thing. She thought her daughters or granddaughters might like it. So, okay, yeah. maybe I'm too old for a popover, but I just thought it looked really super cozy. Or
why? We should wear what you like. And if you like it, wear it.
Or, okay, here's like one more instance that I thought it would be good for, like over pajamas.
Well, yeah. Well, and realistically, like a lot of house coats have hoods on them.
Yeah, they do. And
so
like I always I mean, you do too. I always keep a shawl laying around my house. Well, currently it's the night shift, honestly. And I always have it just laying on the couch. And I know you have one on your chair, and just sometimes you just wander around, and I call them like my house sweaters or house shawls, right? I just want something cozy. So. Oh, Nikki's making one. She says, I can wear it, but she's making one and she'll be 40 this summer. Okay. Well, I'm slightly older than 40 by quite a bit, but anyway, I still think it's fun. I like it. Rosie says we could have a knitting pajama party. That would be fun too.
Okay. So I got a little bit more done on this one. It's on a better needle so you can see it better.
That's really pretty.
So this is the Ilha by Orlaine Souche. And this is done in Drops Bell. And this color is called Rosewater. And I have so many things. I'm kind of getting a little bit freaked out by the number of whips that I have.
Yes, you keep buying and casting on.
I know, but I'm like, I got to finish some things. The buying doesn't bother me. But the stuff on needles.
Okay, can you bring Ross in? Let's ask Ross if the buying bothers him.
He's still at work. He has to work. Somebody has to pay for my yard. Anyway, definitely would recommend this. Love doing the pattern. I definitely have to get back to this because I need it for summer.
You need it for summer. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, and speaking of needing things for summer, this is even the pre-shopping that I did before I went to the Full Moon Fibers trunk show. So I got some of this.
Where's that from? I haven't seen that one.
It's from Little Red Mitten. So this is
Did you have that last week, or was that in your first shopping trip there on Friday afternoon before we got there?
Friday afternoon. First shopping trip on Friday afternoon.
I thought so.
So this is Fresco. It is by Borgio de Pazza. It is 492 yards and 100 grams. And it is linen. Where's the composition here? I can't find it. It's linen and something. I think it's linen and viscose, I think is what it is. Oh, there it is. 75% or 70% viscose and 30% linen. And it feels really nice. It's kind of got a silky look to it.
It does. So, a little bit of a shine, right?
Yep. So I think there's that one pattern by Pearl Soho that's just like a little rounded T. for summer. I can't remember the name of it, but I thought it would be really nice in that. And I really liked the color.
I like it too. Very nice. 2 thumbs up. And
I got some Juniper Moon Farm Zoe.
Ah.
So the Zoe is, where is it here? 60% cotton, 40% linen. And this is a DK weight. So I thought that would make a really nice summer cardigan, like just a little, like maybe 3/4 sleeve cardigan, like to go over, just over a sundress and I found a pattern that I like, but I don't, can't remember the name of it. It's in my favorites, but I can't remember the name of it. It's garter stitch, which I think would look nice in this.
I think so too.
Yeah. So, yeah. And the only other thing I got before the actual trunk show.
This was pre-shopping for the trunk show, in case you're not following along.
Was this.
Oh, super
so this
cute.
is another yoke. So this is another yoke by the yarn therapist, who is, we know her name. What's her name? Jennifer Thiel.
Yes.
And so this is to do a little flax pullover for Penelope. And I think I'm just going to put it with like a cream colored yarn, and then the rainbow yoke will really, really stand out. But I mean, that'll be for like winter. So it'll be like that little one that I did in the blue.
Okay. So Sharon wants to know if your love note is 100% silk. It is not. She's using the Barocco Summer Silk, which is a blend of cotton and silk. It's very, very soft. Very, very soft. And
it is actually, and when I did this, I thought, oh, this yarn is never going to stand up, but it really does. Like I thought it would like pill like crazy, and it does not. Like
you do think like it would. So I picked mine back up. So I'm making a summer sweater from a winter pattern actually, and it's a long sleeve sweater, and it's a bottom up. And you know what? I've never done a bottom up sweater before. I will admit I don't feel like I have as much control of this project as I would from a top down, because from a top down, you know, I can keep trying things on. Yeah. So this was a little different. It took me a little bit of time to get comfortable with the process, but it has long sleeves. So I'm converting that pattern to short sleeves. So all that's been holding me back is thinking about how many stitches I want to cast on for that sleeve to get up to the yoke. Literally, it was a 5-minute thinking exercise. I don't know why I held off, because it's been sitting dormant for 2 weeks, and it's a summer sweater too. I should have been working on it. So last night I cast on the sleeve. So it's a short sleeve. And so I think I did about 1 inch of twisted rib. And then I'm going to do, I think, just about 1 inch of the actual stockinette. So I'm at about a half an inch now. And I think a 2-inch sleeve is more than enough. And then I just have one more of these to do, which is very little knitting. And then you get to the best part. It's like the yoke, where that's the favorite part of all of our sweaters. And then we get down to the stockinette and you're like, okay, this is a bit of a slog. So this is kind of like saving the best for last, or think of it like having dinner, but saving that really good dessert for the end. So now I'm kind of excited again, and a little disappointed in myself that I let it sit there for 2 weeks. So,
and that's what I do. I get to the point where I get all the exciting stuff done, and then it's like, okay, well,
yeah. So this is a little exercise in doing it backwards. And I'm also using the summer silk, and this is, I think the colorway is Market. So it's just a very neutral summer sweater. Zia was asking if I am still active on my Fern and Feather. I'm not. I look at it every time I come into this room, because it's sitting right there in a bag looking at me. And I think I've just put it down just because I know I'm not going to wear it this summer. So I thought, well, why make it a race? So right around, I'm guessing around August, when I start thinking about the fall things, that's probably when I'm going to pick it back up. And then I'll probably like really knit through it quickly and be excited that I have my first fall sweater done soon. So yeah.
So Denise said that the Pearl Soho tee is the circular yoke summer shirt, because she said she's knitting it right now for her daughter. And Joan says she's 72 and she still wears hoodies.
Lots of people were saying they still wear hoodies. So there.
Well, you know what? Like I wear my Roots hoodies, but I honestly can't remember the last time I actually put the hood up.
Yeah.
So
Well, I put them up if it's
when
raining.
we're talking about like when you get to, like, for instance, right, like this, I've done, well, it does have design under the down the side seam, but kind of like I'm at the stockinette stitch part, right? So I'm like, okay, I've done all the fun stuff now. Now it's like, what else can I work on that's fun? So this one, though, it's all fun because you're changing colors all the time.
All fun all the time.
It's all fun all the time. Even when I get into the body, it's going to be all fun all the time.
There's no not fun to this sweater.
Well, that's like when I was doing the shifty sweater, because the colors keep changing and it's all over. So you don't ever get to a part where it's just like the boring stocking stitch. So yeah.
The sad part is that's not even for you.
I know. Yeah,
so you're gonna have all the fun, and then you have to give it away.
But you know what? But I have. Rachel had given me 2 balls of the.
You do have some.
I do. I have 2 balls of this, but in the light color, in the almondy color, and there was a really pretty silk garden that was like pinks and burgundies. Looked like amazing. So.
Okay, so you know what you're getting next, right?
Yep. Oh, well, that my mind could change who knows how many times by the time what I have to do first is finish some things because the whips are starting to
pile up. Your little squirrel brain is catching up with you.
Yep.
So you know what we need to chat about, because we're almost an hour in and we haven't even talked about what we have on the go.
Okay. We have 2 cows going on right at the moment.
Still no string on my little bluebird of happiness.
The first one is our Spark Joy cow. So for the Spark Joy cow, you just need to knit something that brings you joy, and use 50 grams of yarn. There is both a chatter thread and a finished object thread, and there are actually going to be prizes for the chatter, or a prize anyway, for the chatter thread as well, because we just want you to be knitting something that's bringing you joy. So we don't want there to be pressure on you to have to finish it, right? Because that's taking the joy away if there's pressure to finish it. So we just want you to have fun with your knitting or your making, and show us what you're doing in the chatter thread. If you've got a finished object, put it in the finished object thread. We've got a hashtag on Instagram. So it's hashtag KNP Spark Joy Mal.
This is absolutely the easiest make along you will ever join in.
But you look at, like, when we were all sitting there at Little Red Mitten on last, come on, who was not being full of joy at that point?
We were absolutely full of joy, full of joy. Yeah.
So,
and then the other thing that we have going on in Ravelry is our year-long sock along, and that is where you just keep knitting socks or crocheting socks, I guess, if you feel so inclined. Every time you finish a pair of socks, throw them into the thread. This is the Instagram thread that I have below here on the screen now, which is the KNP 2022 socks. And we draw prizes from that each month. We draw 2 prizes. One is a pattern prize donated by our friend Natalie of Remembrances Pottery. And then we also have a sock yarn prize. And then at the end, we have a grand prize. And we already have that
awesome prize.
And it's an awesome grand prize.
We are going to show you, we're going to show you the prize on the next podcast. It is an awesome prize.
We have a really good grand prize. So just keep knitting. And we want to get to 2,022 pairs. And I did not look at Ravelry tonight. I forgot to look tonight to see where we were. But the last time we checked, we were not at the halfway point of our year, and we were more than halfway to the 2022. So I have faith that you guys can do it. You can get us there, and just keep knitting the socks.
I'm going back to Sidra's comment here.
Okay.
So she said, how do you change yarn so you don't get a line going up the sweater? This sweater is perfect because where you change your yarn from one yarn to the other is covered up by your slip stitch. So you're changing because that stitch is only knit every other row. So you change colors in there, and really, honestly, make sure I show you the right part where I'm changing them at the back. Like, here is where the color's being changed, is down here. And because of that slip stitch, you honestly really don't even see it. So this is a perfect, I would say this would honestly be a pretty good beginner sweater. Like, it looks a lot more difficult than what it is. Like, it's just like every other row you're changing color, but you're not doing anything. The only thing you're doing is a slip stitch like 4 times around the sweater.
Mm-hmm.
So that actually makes doing the stripes a lot easier than if you were doing a stocking stitch sweater and you had to worry about then you would get the line going up. So, oh, Sheila says we're at 10.95.
Yeah, I was going to say thanks, Julia. She posted 10.95. Sheila says, Julie says 10,096. All right. See,
well, 96 might mean we might have to take off the initial post for
you, because you put to open the thread
the instructions.
Up, so. Yes.
So
wow, we're doing good. We're doing really good.
Paula says tassels in the sky is bringing her joy right now.
Right.
But all my knitting brings me joy. Win-win for sure. Yeah, I
how could that not bring anybody joy? How could that not bring anybody? And this is just basic knitting. Anybody can knit this. It's knit over and knit back, and you're just increasing every time.
But when I was doing that, every time I go across, and then I'd have to feel the fabric.
I know.
I just loved the way it felt, and I'm like, and I'd have to go, I can knit a whole sweater in this.
I know. I know. And it's going to be a really good size because I'm already okay. And this is kind of bunched up on the needles too, but like this is my length already. It's already pretty big. And I still have all of this.
Well, look.
I have more mohair, but I still have all of this to knit.
I can't even bring it all across. How?
Yeah. And that's just, like a one skein of slub.
Yep.
So.
And it does. And it feels really nice to wear it. Not on a day like this because it's too hot, but.
Yes. I love it. I just keep looking at it too. I keep pulling it out. Some nights, like even if I'm not knitting on it, I like to look at it every day.
Okay. We have a question here about what method do you use for linen or cotton to add a new ball of yarn in the garment? Okay. So in this one, this yarn has like 4 plies. So I divided the end yarn and the beginning yarn into 4 plies, and I kind of joined them. So you just have like part of it sticking out at the end. Here, I've got it here.
So like that. Plies.
Yes. So I split the plies. So you've only got part of it at each point. The other thing that you can do is you can try and switch yarns like where there's texture, like especially if you've got a cable or something. If you switch the yarns there, even if you kind of go from one to the next and you sew your ends in up that cable line, you really can't see it.
Or if you can get to a side seam, that's another good place to hide it.
Yep. I think we talked about with the Castrol, which is a tape yarn, like it's 100% linen by Quince & Co. And it's like a tube yarn. Mm-hmm. And with that, we did a Russian join.
Yes.
So, but yeah, it is a little bit trickier. So you kind of have to like find places where you can put it in, where you can hide it. So the hardest is probably if you're just on a plain stockinette and there's no side seams or texture, that's probably the hardest to.
It will fill in too when you block it. Like if you're knitting it and you have this feeling you've done your best on the join and you still think it's a little bit obvious, have faith that when you block it, that garment is going to plump up around that join and you won't see it. It will be fine. Sheila did a beginner spindle spinning class. She has a super chubby little mini that she spun herself. Joy beyond joy. Yay.
Yay.
Yay. That's fun.
It is. Like just when you look at something and it's like you go from the fleece part and it turns into yarn, it's just magical.
Sharon says the slub with tassels looks like it should be on Doris Day ice skating. You're right. It totally does. Totally does. Totally does. Yes. Okay. Well, I want to put some work in on this tonight since I got no knitting done on KnitChat.
I don't even try anymore.
That's a new slogan we're going to have to put. All chat, no knit. I hope everybody watching got lots of knitting done. I hope.
That's right.
I hope. So.
Yeah, if I'm watching another live, I have no problem. Like I'll be knitting and I have it up on the TV, but I've got my iPad right there and I can still like set the knitting down, type in a comment and keep going. But like, apparently I can't do that when we're talking.
Oh, and Nikki's getting her first full-size spinning wheel. Yay.
Yay.
That's exciting.
That's exciting. That is very exciting.
Very exciting.
I don't know if that was a fiber or a bug. Spider web.
Okay, so we will be back here next Tuesday. And
we will, but we should be filming a podcast this week.
Yeah, we should be. Does that mean I should have something finished? I should finish something. I should get some things finished then. That's what
you finished your socks.
Okay, well, that a pair of socks does not a podcast make. Well, I guess when I've got you to fill in for 15 projects. Okay, well, it's been wonderful. Thank you.
I'm pretty sure you have a lot of acquisitions to show.
Not as many as some people in the podcast.
I showed some of mine. I don't have to show them
again. Okay. I made it through almost a glass of wine. It's been lovely. Thank you for joining us here tonight for our little Knit Chat Cafe.
Yeah.
I hope you had a good time. Again, if you're new, welcome. If you liked what you saw, please like it down below. That helps the channel to grow. It gets it in front of more people. And we're just having a lot of fun hanging out with everybody. We really are. And it's just fun.
It's fun.
It's just fun.
It's fun. That's right. That's right. It brings us joy to hang out with you every Tuesday evening. Just fills our hearts.
It does. I look so forward to Tuesdays. Yeah, I do. So, okay. Well, have a great week. Happy knitting.
Happy knitting. And we will talk to you next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye.